Hello and welcome to Biz, your work life sorted. I'm Em Burnham.
And I'm Lisa Lee.
So something that I constantly think about more often than I should is what is going to happen to my career and job if or when I have a baby.
I have 2 children, so I've been through that parental leave thing twice. And I will caveat this whole episode with I am not an expert. I find it very funny when people have kids and then they think they're an expert in routines and things and all the things you should do.
Everyone's experience is so different.
Yeah, and they've only been through it once or twice. Like, since when did going through something once or twice make you an expert? So I'm not an expert, but I have felt all of these things, you know, the push, the pull, the scramble, the weird guilt, the part of you that wants to pick up where you left off and the part that knows you're not quite the same.
Yeah.
So whether you're going back to a job you know well or you're starting something new, that first step back can really throw you. Your life's changed, your priorities have shifted, but your ambition is still there. So this episode is for anyone navigating that messy, meaningful, I guess sometimes maddening moment of coming back from parental leave.
Yeah. I think this episode is literally just a whole bunch of me asking you questions and like writing down notes, because I have a lot of questions mainly about like the return to work after having a baby, like the emotional side of things, the professional side of things, the logistical side of things, and how to not just survive that, but also make sure you're still growing in your career after that, if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, let's get into it. This is going to be a great conversation.
Okay, so I want to start with the emotional side of coming back. Let's get the hard stuff out of the way first. Because what I hear from friends who've had children is that no one really prepares you for how you immediately feel coming back to work after that.
I think what surprised me most both times was how weird it felt. Even the second time doing it, like you've been living in one world, this like intense full-on world of parenting, and then you suddenly step into one that hasn't changed, but you have. Yeah. And you really notice it.
What, like, was it like an initial notice, or was it something that you're like, oh, it like crept up after a while of being back?
For me, it felt like watching myself in a workplace. Like you could see it playing out. You're like, I just feel a bit weird. I feel a bit different. Not weird bad or weird good, just like not the same as I felt before.
It's so interesting because you're obviously like so career driven and work focused. But I've also heard that there's like these complex feelings around wanting to be present at home, but also wanting to be present at work. And for someone who's not had kids, and I'm quite ignorant to that sense of feeling, is that for me in my head, it sounds quite easy. Like, bring your work self to work and bring your home self to home. And I know that's not true.
It's very hard to compartmentalize it because just because you, have dropped your child off to daycare or whatever you're doing, doesn't mean you stop thinking about them and thinking about all the things that are required at the end of the day.
Yeah.
My husband and I often joke about, you'd be getting the kids ready for the day and you'd arrive at work and it was like you're holding your breath in the morning and then you just like exhale and you feel like you've lived a whole life just before 9 o'clock.
Oh my God.
And you don't just let that go when you walk out the door, right? Or walk into work.
And here's me asleep till 8 a.m. crawling out of bed at 8:30.
I feel like I've lived a life before 9 a.m. And not in a bad way, right? It's just a way of like, this is how life works now and this is how our family works now. And I'm trying to do both things and do them the best I can too.
So as someone who, like yourself, I'm so passionate of my career and like who I am at work, that it is something that I am quite scared of, because I've seen so many women who are at one point in their career and then they go have their baby, priorities just immediately change in their head and they come back to work maybe in like a different position, or they might come back for like part-time, or they might come back and just have completely new set of like career goals essentially. And for me, what I'm scared of is not knowing what person I'll be after having a baby if I choose to have one. Was that something that like you prepared for? Or was that something that completely threw you?
Not at all. I mean, the preparation you're doing is like naps and logistical drop-offs and who's taking the child then and who's doing dinner and all those things. I think you naturally go to the rational logistical things that you should plan.
Yeah.
The emotional side, I mean, I loved my time on parental leave. And I also really looked forward to dipping my toe back in the water and coming back to work as well. And so that was a bit of a conflict as well, because I'm like, does this mean I don't love my baby as much? Or, if I'm thinking about my baby, does it mean I don't love work? And and what's going on here? And you start to reconcile that you can love both of those things in different ways. And that starts to ease some of the guilt and what you're doing. But the guilt is always there because you're thinking all the time about something else.
How did you come to that like reconciliation though?
I think reconciling what you want your life to be like and what you want success to look like. Because pre-baby, so often we're in that whole escalator mentality of I will get this job and then I will get this job, and it's just like the next job in front of me, right? And then you have a child and you have a chance to step away, which is actually really amazing for perspective. Do I really want to do this job?
Yeah, right.
Is it something I enjoy? If I'm going back and
I'll put that on my list, have a baby.
Have a baby for perspective. Do I want to do this job? Do I like working in this industry? Now I've had a baby and I'm going to be spending time away from my baby to work. What is it that I want to be doing? And now those are certainly all the things that I went through, right? And so to get that perspective, you go, when I am here and I'm doing this, I'm going to make sure I'm doing something that I value and it is valuable to the business too. So it feels really worthwhile.
What was your biggest shock upon coming back and realizing that you were a different person at work now?
The thing I didn't plan for and think about was the mental load, because you're not just returning to work, you're layering on top of this like a whole lot of new responsibilities you didn't have before. And we were joking about this before the episode, right? Your weekends are totally different. Your mornings are totally different. And there's all these things you think of. So before kids, you'd just get up, you get yourself ready, go to the gym, maybe see some friends. And
take time doing your makeup, wash your hair.
Sit on the floor and do your makeup. I used to do that. It was such a nice like treat in the morning. Now, you've already done 50 things before 9 a.m. Like someone's probably woken you up through the night. You've got breakfast. It wasn't the breakfast they wanted.
Gotten a second breakfast.
Trying your hardest to get yourself ready and also like prevent some kind of like colossal meltdown about shoes or something. And getting out the door on time.
Which is totally fair. Shoes can be quite intense.
I mean,
sometimes.
What shoes will I wear? I don't like those shoes today. Okay, you like them yesterday. Sure. And you kind of like hold it all in, and then you get to work and you let it out. And sometimes one day it can be a relief. You get to have a coffee by yourself that's hot and it's quiet. And then other times like you miss them like mad because you can send a photo from childcare going, look what they're doing today. And you're like, far out, I just missed out on that. So, but the mental load was really big for me because what was happening, right, is I was like juggling all these daycare drop-offs, remembering who needs what, the shoes, the planning the dinner, while also replying to emails and being really present. No one really sees that part coming. It's like always running in the background all day, every day. And I think that's one of the biggest things you could do to empathize with someone who is returning, is knowing that they're thinking of a million things and probably not themselves. So for me, it wasn't, it still is a bit, is that constant juggle, and it never, ever fully switches off.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like I bring up my mum in every single episode we do, but I feel like I only really empathize with my mum when I started working full time, and I could see a lot of my colleagues who were first time mothers, like having to juggle kids plus work, because my mum started her career in her early 30s after she had me. So she had me, went on leave, and then just started a completely new job in a completely new company straight after having me. And I remember like so specifically the guilt she felt every time she left, because I was an insane kid. Like I remember like, because my grandparents used to look after me because both of my parents worked, and I remember like her trying to sneak out, and I just like fling open the door and run after her and like try to get myself into the car and be screaming and crying and like knocking on like my dad's like car window, like crying,
don't leave me.
And like they went through that like every single day they left, probably traumatized for the rest of their work day.
Oh yeah, they would have, like one of them would have burst into tears.
And then I just go back inside with my papa and just watch TV and eat breakfast like nothing ever happened.
Anyway, they've gone now and they're like completely traumatized for the rest of the day. Yeah, that happens too. So there's like this whole emotional whirlwind of returning. And I think one of the things we don't talk about enough is that you can lose a bit of confidence while you're in parental leave, especially if you're not in touch with work over that time, because 12 months is a long time. If you have the luxury of taking 12 months, some people don't take that. But let's say you've taken 12 months. you lose the confidence. Like, I remember at some point almost feeling like people were doing me a favor, giving me a job part-time. And that's not true, right?
No.
Like, I had a lot of value to bring. I was valued before I went on parental leave. Why would I not be valued on my return?
Yeah.
And when that confidence hits, like, I was promised promotions before I went on parental leave, or promised salary increases when I returned. How do you think I went with that? Like, when I was coming back and I hadn't been doing it for a year, I wasn't really negotiating, was I?
No.
I didn't feel like I had enough to go off, but I should have. And this is like super nitty gritty advice here, but I give it to a lot of friends who go back now. They go, oh, you know, they're doing me a favor because they're making the role part-time, and they did promise me a salary increase, you know, as part of the review and everything before I left, but I guess they just don't have budget now. I'm like, I'm sorry. When you go on parental leave, they need to budget for your return at full-time. That's what every business needs to do. Every CFO or financial person listening to this is hating me right now because I'm peeking back the curtains.
We're talking to you.
So I'm not good at spontaneous maths, but let's roll with it. If you're on 100K full-time salary and you're coming in part-time, you want to do 3 days a week, they still have 100K budgeted, not 60K, right? So if you were meant to get that 5K increase, it's there. It's available to you. So ask for it and back yourself. And I think just remember the credibility and the value you brought to the business and how you can bring that now again in different ways, and ask for the salary that reflects that.
So when someone comes back and you've equipped them with this knowledge, like say there's 100K and they're coming back part-time, and they're probably like, I feel like there would also be that imposter syndrome of like, what if my parental leave cover is like better at me and my job, and they want to keep that person? Like, what is actually their rights to say in those meetings when they come back to work?
Well, it depends on if someone has replaced you and someone's taken a parental leave cover while you're there. And of course you'd be going, oh my gosh, are they better than me at this job? Am I even going to have a job when I come back? Or equally, if you're coming back and they hadn't replaced you, like they just absorbed the work, etc., a lot of people lose the confidence because they go, do they even need me anymore?
Yeah.
And that's really hard to work through. But I think at least if you ask the question, you know where you're adding value as well, and how you can contribute to the business, then, and remind yourself of this as well, like remind yourself of the few wins that you had before you left. Because I guarantee, and I see this in every single person who goes on parental leave, they work their butts off before they leave.
Yeah.
And they achieve so many things. Remind yourself of those moments and take that into the conversation. Okay, let's talk visibility, because we touched on this just before, but I think this is one of the biggest fears people have, especially if you're returning part-time or working flexibly in some way.
Yeah. Do you ever feel, and I'm sure so many people have felt this, and I've heard this from friends as well, where you feel like you're kind of fading into the background and you're kind of out of mind, not only because you feel like you're coming back into this role after being away for so long, but because your priorities shift. Like you might have a different time than anyone else because you have to do kid drop off, or might have to leave earlier because you have to pick up your kids, or you might just have to be off because of like sick days. Like there's so many things that I feel like parents, especially parents of young kids, go through where they're just like not being seen by anyone in the office workspace. And I think we still associate, and we talk about this with working from home as well, we still have that like older generation mindset where if I'm not seeing you, then you can't be doing any work.
Physical presence, right? I think visibility isn't about showing up to everything though. It's about showing up to the right things and things that matter. You know, we touched on this before. You feel like you're not needed anymore, or is my role even needed anymore? But once you land on what's needed and being visible in the right ways, then that can actually change your perspective around it.
Right. So how does that actually look?
So one of the things that I recommend to so many people, and it's something that I think I did right, there are things I did wrong, which I've just shared with you how to change that. But one of the things I did do right was have this really honest conversation up front about what does returning look like? Where was I adding value beforehand? How can I add value now? Where is the business at, etc. And kind of mapping that out together and going through it. And what will so often happen to people is that they'll come together with this role and go, here, Em, we'd love you to do this. And you're like, that's great, but I'm returning 3 days. So like, is this possible in 3 days? Have that conversation up front. Because if you don't have that, then you're setting yourself up to fail. You're trying to achieve all these things that's actually a full-time role, not a a part-time role. And when you go through that kind of process and pair it back with them, then you can highlight the things that are going to keep you most visible and most valuable to the business as well. I mean, I remember going through this when was it? I get the first and the second time confused. So the second time, when I was coming back and we went into discussing the role, it was a leadership role too, and it was part-time. What are the things that you want me to do? Like, what's most important? What's going to move the dial that I can do in 2.5, 3 days? And this business was quite progressive, and they said, do you know what? We actually don't want you doing this admin and this thing and that thing, especially at the salary we're paying you at for a leadership role. Like, we can get someone to do this at an admin level, etc. So we really paired the role back into something that was doable and something that was valuable.
Wow. Okay.
But if we hadn't had that conversation up front and I just walked into the same job as last time, the same responsibilities, but I was part-time, I was going to melt, and they were going to melt about it too.
That's so interesting. And I do think that also can be applied to literally anyone. Like, not even if you're coming back from parental leave or you're moving from a full-time role to a part-time role. But even if you are, like, say you get a promotion or you get a new job and you get that new JD, like, and you read that JD. And what I like to do in my, like, previous roles was that I'd like to make a calendar for myself.
Oh, I love that.
And, like, insert, and I'm a numbers first person. So I put, like, every single thing in my JD in a calendar, Monday to Friday, what times I would do them and the time it would take me to do it.
Time blocking.
And I'd share that with my manager and be like, just letting you know, this is what it looks like. And there's sometimes there was, like, occasionally where there'll be like a whole chunk that would just fall on a weekend or fall, like, out of hours. And I think when you visually see that, even you as a person seeing your own workload, it might look so much smaller on just a piece of paper in writing compared to when you actually schedule it out.
That is awesome advice.
But you literally realize, like, and then it will probably also be a surprise to your manager as well. Be like, oh, sorry, we'll get someone else to do that. Sorry, do this instead.
Yeah. And that is, like, really great practical advice, I think, because you're right. Like, you can see these bullet points on a page. It's like, what does that even mean? And what does good look like in that to you? Does that mean I'm delivering this 3 times a week? And how does that work, etc.?
Especially going from full-time to part-time, because I think the easiest thing to do is just do your full-time role in a part-time schedule, and that never will ever work out.
No, and it's not great for you because you're resented. And also then the business is like, but you said there was nothing wrong with it and it's fine. So you're kind of setting yourself up to fail. So be really confident in having that discussion. And I know it can be hard and you feel like you're being pushy and all the guilt and the other emotions that come with it as well. But if you don't have that conversation up front, then everything else is harder after that. So other practical things you can do. One of the things I think worked really well for me when I was working in a part-time role was I like to visualize things too.
Yeah.
I am a big lover of Monday.com.
We use Monday here at Mamma Mia. It's a really great
best.
scheduling application. You can use it on your desktop, on phone. We use it in our written team for, like, editorial pieces. The whole company, I think actually the whole company uses it.
Oh my gosh,
like,
it's the best,
everything.
right?
Yeah.
And we should be Monday ambassadors.
We should be Monday ambassadors.
You can use Trello or some other things. But what I found with Monday, because the business I worked at all operated on Monday, is the days I weren't there, they could see everything around, like what was going on, what was in progress, etc. And they're like, how are you achieving all these things and how are you moving them forward? So that was a way of me keeping things visible and accountable, and them aware of, like, what the workload was and how it could be managed. Because especially with that, I could then go, here are all the things, which is most important for this week. And they're like, oh, okay. And they, like, kind of had to visually pick and choose. So I like, building on your example of, like, visualizing through calendar, visualizing through Monday was a big one for me. And then just smart, recapping it on a Friday. It's like, here are all the things that are out this week and what we're setting up for next week, which I think is actually just a good rhythm to get into in any team you're in, regardless of parental leave.
My favorite type of coworker is someone who is so particular about meetings. Like, they know exactly, and I'm talking about myself here, they know exactly which meetings are important, which meetings could just be an email, which meetings don't need to exist at all. And they're super alert in that space, where, especially I think with reoccurring meetings, a lot of people can fall in the trap where you might just have a reoccurring meeting that happens every week and you get to a point where you're like, why do you even have this meeting?
Exactly. And what we're saying here is that, You need to be really intentional with your time, not just be present and floating around and feel like you have to go to these things, you have to go to lunch, etc. Something that I got a whole business into, I was working part-time, so it was helpful for me, but the whole business got into it, was if a meeting was set, it had to have a payo. Now, a payo.
What's a payo?
A payo.
I love a new term.
Oh, yes. A payo stands for, I learned this from Amanda Imber, who's like the guru of productivity.
The best.
Which is amazing. It stands for purpose, agenda, and outcome. And if you can't tell me those three things, then we're not having a meeting.
Whoa.
So the meetings didn't happen unless there was a payo. And if you went through the payo and went, actually, we could probably just like do this async, like do it on Slack, or, you know, send each other a couple of emails.
Just come over to my desk and
or just
tell
come
me
over to my desk. Like we don't have to sit here and then fill the allotted 60 minutes. Then meetings wouldn't happen. So what I guess we're suggesting here is be visible, but be intentional about it, and know what you're going to go to and know how you're going to contribute to that too.
So I want to talk about the next chapter. After you get back to work, you're back in like your career growth mindset. What does that actually look like now that you've just had kids?
Yeah, this is where a lot of people get stuck. So I'm really glad we're touching on it. You know, we're not given a roadmap for how to grow a career while working flexibly or part-time. And so often the poster for it has been someone who has either completely given up on their kids and given them to a nanny and gone, I'm not doing that, I'm doing this. Or someone who's like completely melting down and burnt out because they're juggling way too many things, etc. So we don't have a lot of good examples to refer to, but I think the more that we share as parents, the more that we can start to help each other and help ourselves. And the system kind of assumes that you'll just make it work. Most of the time, you're juggling with whatever support you can piece together. And it does feel like that for the first 6 months, like you're trying to piece together this new way of life and way of working too.
Yeah, and it's like literally what I said before. Like in my head, it's very much like, okay, so when you're working, you're at work, and when you're at home, you're at home and doing home stuff with your kids. And I know that's just super ignorant because it's like, obviously you're still thinking about your kids when you're at work and vice versa. Like I know so many people who have kids who just never shut off, and they're answering Slacks or emails at like nighttime. And I'm like, I know this is bar time. Like I know this is bar time.
And that can go really well either way. Like sometimes I would get into that zone of feeling guilty because I'd left at 4:00 to go to pick up. And so I would log back on and I would work. And there was a running joke that I would be the last one on Slack. And then other times it worked really well because I'd hold that boundary and I'd be like, I'm not available between 4 and 7 because it's dinner, bath, bed. And if there's something I need to pick up, I will pick it up between 7 and 8. And we'll go from there. But the boundaries thing is big.
Yeah.
For yourself as much as with other people.
And also just wanting to make sure that, I feel like especially with mums, it comes with this added pressure of seeing everyone else in your workplace who might not have kids or might have older kids and have come through that phase or did that phase in a different generation. And it's that added pressure of not wanting someone to put a personality towards you or like
stereotype.
A stereotype towards you. And I might put her on the spot here, but my friend and coworker Stace, she always does this thing because she lives so far away from work, like an hour-long train ride. And she has a kid, and she always does this thing where she'll leave at 4:30, and she says the same thing every single day where she's like, I'm leaving now. I'll be back online on the train. I'll be back online when I get home. Every single day she does that.
Yeah.
And every single day we're like, stop it, go, leave.
Yeah.
And it's just something that like, and even I don't even have kids and I feel like I do it. I think it's something that's so innately true for women mostly, where you always have to show that you're always working and you're always working to 100%. Like there's so many times where I've like emailed or sent Slacks at nighttime or like in the morning before getting to work. Like if I am walking to work, I'm literally on my phone slacking people as I'm walking to work, even though I start like in half an hour. And it's just something that I feel like every generation it's the same thing over and over again, and something that we can't stop doing.
Yeah, I have been, Stacey. I think something that changed for me in that, because I was definitely guilty of that for a while, was starting to think about outcomes over hours. What are the outcomes I've driven today? And so I started doing this thing where I was like, I might be working this many hours, and I can guarantee you a working parent, like they use every minute of the day very effectively. So yes, they might have only been online from 10 till 4, but they've probably done something that anyone could have done from 8 till 6.
Yeah.
So one of the things I started doing was going, today is a good day if I have done X, Y, and Z. And if I'd done those things and it was 4:00, I'm like, I'm leaving loudly. I'm like, I'm done for the day. I've done all the things I need to do. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I think the more that we can demonstrate that and show that and start to use a bit of that language, then it makes it permissible for other people to do that too.
Yeah, especially if you're in a manager position because, and I know this is so true for so many young women in particular who want to grow their career and want to prove themselves and show up. And even if your manager says that, I don't expect you to answer emails after hours, I don't expect you to Slack after hours, but if they're doing it, obviously you're going to do it as well.
Yes. And like, again, guilty of this because I work weird hours because I want to be at the basketball game or I want to be doing this thing. So I will do something at 9:00 at night and that's my choice.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is your choice and that's great and that's what works for you. And that's okay too. You've just got to work out if you're happy with the boundaries that you've set.
Yeah. And just have an honest conversation with your team of like exactly why you're doing that.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, so I don't have to reply to you at 10 p.m.
No. And I don't expect you to reply or maybe schedule send.
Yeah.
I think the other thing we should touch on as well is that career growth doesn't have to look the same as it did after you had kids. A lot of people get hooked on this idea of like, well, I just can't get promoted if I'm part-time, or I can't go for that role if I'm part-time as well. And I think that's a mindset we really have to shift.
How do you shift that?
Something that happened to me was redundancy.
Redundancy.
Yeah, so that was a big shift. I mean, my hand was forced there, right?
Yeah.
So I was on parental leave with my second child and I got made redundant.
While you were on parental leave?
I'm not sure if that's legal. Actually, it is. Apparently, it's legal, but doesn't feel legal.
Yeah, it doesn't feel legal.
Does not feel legal.
Definitely feels unethical.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, some moral values being compromised.
But you're also not the first story I've heard of someone being made redundant on parental leave.
They did it to a whole bunch of people. I just happened to be on parental leave at that time. But I guess that forced my hand as well while I was on leave to go, what do I actually want to do next? And I do want to grow my career. Like I am really driven, etc. But what does it look like and what kind of work is it as well? And I'm actually really grateful for that redundancy because it forced my hand to go and do some things, to go, what can I do part-time and what are the things I love to do? So that was really helpful. So, I mean, we have touched on this before. I'm a little bit type A and not everyone does this, but I was using nap time later on to like go and upskill and do like little things or read articles and stuff like that. And through my network, because keep your network alive, please, while you're on parental leave. Don't completely switch off. I got my absolute dream job that was in a leadership role and it was part-time.
Oh my God. Wow.
So good things can come for it when your hand is forced and when you ask yourself what you really want to be doing and how you can add value, and keep your network alive and know that you can get a leadership role and you can do it part-time. I'm not the only case. Like my best friend was in a job share role, in a leadership role for a long time, and it worked amazingly. 2 mums coming together with great experience. The business got 2 brains for the price of 1.
Oh my God.
So these things can happen as long as you're having the conversation around it and you're thinking about it and going, what do I want here and what can I do as well?
So it's my favorite time of the episode, out.
I love out.
Our one useful thing. And my useful thing is actually going to be another question for you.
Ooh.
So I want to know that if you're in this moment right now, like you're returning to work, you're trying to figure out how this new self of you is going to work with your old job, what's worth holding on to?
I think there's 3 things. So the first is you don't have to prove you're the same. You've changed and that perspective is really valuable. You have to remember how you bring value and what you want to bring value to. The second one is growth can still happen, but it might look different. So think stretch, not ladder, and think pivot or think sideways moves. I grew, but I put the work in to go, what do I want and what does that role look like and who in my network can I talk to about that? And the last one I would say would be play the long game. Like your timeline's your own, so don't let comparison rush your path. You only get this one time with your child being 1-year-old or 18 months old, 2 years old, whatever that time is. Whereas work, and this is coming from an ambitious person, you can drop in, change, move at any point in time, and you can build those skills to do that. And you're never going to get that time back with your child. So make sure that you're not thinking that there's a timeline in your career and you have to achieve X by Y. You can build that at any moment.
That's such good advice.